Hey guys, this is Gabe, and welcome to Hard Hats and Hard Roads. Today we got Amanda Unsworth here, and she's our local psychologist, and we have Sam Thompson here, and he's a journeyman carpenter. We have some interesting topics we're going to dive into today, talking about neurodivergence in the workplace, talking about access to healthcare in a rural area. Let's do this. Sam, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up, man?
I grew up in a small town near Lloydminster called Manville. About, 700 people there, so pretty small town.
Yeah, it's small. And you grew up with a pretty big family, I hear, eh?
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of 8 siblings. Well, 9 siblings.
It's a massive family.
Yeah.
So you're the youngest, hey?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was a pretty wild experience. Like, our family was, it's more tended to that old style of life. We grew up on a farm, milked our own cows, had chickens, butchered, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting growing up like that. And then father passed away when I was about 6, so it's pretty long era there where we were just raised by our mom. So,
And that must have been its own thing, dealing with the loss of your father at such a young age, eh?
yeah, I mean, you never really thought about it till, it all comes out when you're older, right?
That's fair. That happens. And so you grew up there, you graduated there and everything?
Yeah.
Right
yeah.
on.
Graduated high school there. Did my carpentry in Vermilion, which was 15 minutes away from there. So
you went to university or college after?
Well, trade school.
Trade school, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. What'd you get for that?
I came out of it with a Red Seal journeyman for carpentry, so.
That's impressive, bud.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And where'd you go from there?
Kind of stuck around town for a while, worked for a bit, then eventually I kind of got tired of doing concrete and construction and decided I'd go off and try going to the world of forestry. So I got my diploma in forest technology from Nate. It's a 2-year course. That was a pretty wild experience.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to see all the background of what's going on in the industry, that's for sure, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so working in these intense industries, when did you start realizing that maybe you have, like, you're different than somebody else? Like me too. But
Yeah.
but like, when did you start?
You're one of us.
You're one of us. Yeah. When did you start realizing that you're a little different, bud?
It's just that I think I've always just been different. It's not like I've always kind of felt like the outsider, so it's never really been that inclusive. But you join in, you know, everybody drinks, so you sit down and drink after work, and that's kind of how you get to know everybody, right? And from there, but I don't know, like I quit drinking when I was 24, so it's when you're not doing that, it's really hard to make the connections, right?
Yeah, everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people relate to socializing around drinking, and it's, especially in this community, it's really tough. And so you did your own research prior to getting diagnosed, is that correct?
Yeah, just more or less I just exposed myself to like, I don't know, you go on the internet, there's so much information out there. It's just, I don't know, mental health is such a wild field to get into, and like, you can focus on one thing and it's not the main issue you're focusing on, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's something completely different out that's causing the issues, and we've become very treat the symptoms. So like, instead of solving the issue, right? So
Yeah, it's all about, yeah, you got to kind of mask your feelings in the world but now that we're starting to bring mental health into the world and make it more inclusive and realize that that we need to destroy this stigma. I think that being neurodivergent is a superpower, honestly, because you can, like, I don't know, you just go about life totally different and you see things differently, and I honestly think it's great. Once you start getting help, and it's hard to get help in the city with the lack of family doctors and stuff like that. Like, you can't, like, how did you even get through that?
I'm still not through it.
Right?
Like, I don't know, everywhere you turn, there's gonna be some sort of roadblock there. Like, it's just, you know, unfortunate circumstance where I'm at right now. Like everyone's like, oh, well, just pay a therapist. It's like, I don't have money for food, so like, how do you? You can't. You have to justify those things, and like, that's something that like a regular person might not understand. It's like, oh, just pay for it. And it's like, I would, but I would also like to eat.
Yeah,
so, like,
that's right.
I think another thing maybe that the average person might not understand is how many times you have to go see a therapist. So, you know, if you could go once and then you would be better, that, okay, you could justify the cost, but that it is a continuous cost typically.
Yeah.
And particularly at the beginning. And so that can be, yeah, that's a lot for people to take on. I really liked what you said too a little bit ago about how the presenting problem is not the problem. So when people come to us, it's really important, I think, for mental health professionals, every helper, to recognize that what a person is bringing forward is their immediate problem, potentially, the one that they are safe feeling to bring to you as a stranger, but that it is important to ask those deeper questions of what else is going on and what happened before this problem started. Because you're absolutely right. There is usually a deeper something that if we treat that thing will have the biggest impact.
Everyone at this table has ADHD, which is fair. And we're honestly not scared of talking about it, because the more people that talk about it, the more it will be, you know, not frowned upon. Like, oh, you're mental? Like, no. No. So how did your diagnosis affect your life and your career?
More or less, I've been diagnosed with depression, borderline personality disorder, like presumptive ADHD and stuff. But it just makes you kind of bounce around. Like, you see people and they've, like, 32 now, so that's like, what, just about 15 years working. And you see people, they've been in the same job for 15 years and they have like this established career and all this stuff, and like, I mean, I'm penniless right now, so like it's wild to see, like, it affects the choices you make, and like you seek immediate gratification instead of long term growth. So it's and it's, you know, you can try and change it, but I don't know how you change that.
Right? Well, it's like, how do you go to work when you're having a tough day and try and move past it, and while your boss is like, just work, and you're disassociating and you're getting in trouble for disassociating? It's like, what do you do in that? So that's the problem that we're facing, and the reason we're having this episode is to bring awareness to neurodivergent people and professionals, and especially trades. Like, they're there. So how did you cope with all your stuff? You said you were drinking until you're about 26, eh?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So you're sober now, eh? That's awesome.
I still make bad choices, so I can't guarantee anything. And like, I find that's where a lot of people break down. Is it's like, oh well, I cheated, so I may as well not be it. It's like, and that's the total black white thinking, right? Like, it's either yes or no, and then it's like, well, I broke the rule, so I can break everything, and I can't do that with my head. So
Yeah, no. It's a whole
Slippery
process.
slope.
Yeah.
yeah.
What can employers and coworkers do to have a more inclusive environment at work?
That's a tough one. Like,
Right?
it's because I also have owned a business, so I understand like productivity, and like I've worked in mills and stuff where like they measure minutes of downtime, and like so you start applying like rough principles of like the downtime in your life, and it's like it starts getting wild. So it makes sense, but like more or less I've found a lot of ADHD people in that they either need time to just like their brains can't focus on the same thing for, especially if it's not a preferred task, like,
Yeah.
so
It's something you don't want to do. There's no interest.
yeah, and it's like, I understand you're paying me, but like I would rather be at home right now than doing this task. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's I don't know,
Needs to be a balance. There needs to be more benefits, I feel, in like to provide counseling for workers, to have more inclusive mentality when it comes to having a neurodivergent worker. I think it's really important that we're talking about this, and the construction industry it's brutal. Like, it's a whole, like, if you can't have feelings at work, they will call you names. Like, it's
well, I mean, and part of it too is like you can have feelings all you want, but like the boss is looking at it from a total monetary standpoint, right? It's like hours into when X construction phase is done and we get paid, right? So like there's absolute, like, you can have all the feelings you want, but he doesn't care. Like, he still needs to make profit at some point, or else his company's going to go under. And like, I've unfortunately been the captain of some of those sinking ships, and like it's not fun, and like the fallout is you got years of paperwork to deal with, and like just it's not fun. So like I totally get it, but it's still like, if you just got to let people work in their own way, because like I don't know, it's weird.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
well-
just think that they need to be more inclusive.
Yeah, and I think it's the inclusivity comes from neurodivergent people. We have lots of skills. It's not that we're uneducated or that we can't learn or that we don't specialize in things. I might even argue we specialize in lots of things. That's our whole purpose in life, is to specialize in all kinds of things. But it is it's that consistency of output is not the same. So what I can do between 9 and 11 in the morning is what most people can do between 8 and 4. And so, yeah, I don't need to be there all day. And I feel that. And I think a lot of neurodivergent people set up their own businesses and do their own things to accommodate themselves in that way of this inconsistent ability to have output.
Yeah, and then you run into all the paperwork and forms is where I fell apart.
Right.
Because I can do the work, it's no problem, and like find the work and make the deals, but like getting everything in the background all lined up, and it's one of those things. It's not a preferred task. I have no interest in it, and it just
Yeah.
it's a downfall if you don't take care of it, right?
100%.
Yeah, and that is one of the accommodations, like working with kids in schools. It is that piece of they can do it and they just don't. And really battling like what that means about that person. Or is it a character flaw? Is it a defiance, opposition situation? Or is it a deficit of their neurodevelopment and they just cannot engage in tasks that are not interesting? And it seems to be that you cannot, it's a disability of doing more than anything else. We know what we're supposed to do. And usually neurodivergence can be like excellent in emergency situations. If there's a task to do, an exciting something to build or something to figure out, they're there and they're figuring it out. But yeah, if it's paperwork, if it's homework, if it's reading, if it's something that's slow, we fall off our attention.
Yeah.
We get distracted.
Why are you talking about me?
Right? Are you talking about all of us?
Yeah. No, that's relatable.
I feel like, yes, employers need to be inclusive because we have lots to bring to a situation, but I agree. I mean, you can't have people that can't have consistent output when you're working with spreadsheets and trying to make deadlines. So it's a balance. So yeah, I feel like I'm really excited about the accommodations that neurodivergence can have now with technology. AI can do lots of that sort of repetitive, boring stuff for us.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah, and trying to get on the proper meds too is a whole thing. Like me and Sam, we've been put on meds, and they just forget to take away what we get put on, and it messes with us internally and mentally.
Those psychiatric meds, it's, it gets in your body and it lasts for months, and then, and yeah, it just compounds, right?
100%.
Yeah, they're pretty strong. Another thing, too, is I don't know that when people start them, they really recognize how hard some of them are to come off of in a safe way. Like, you're going to feel those effects for a while.
Mm-hmm. And it could be pretty dangerous to come off them, too, without any doctor help. But, like, how are you supposed to get doctor help if there's no doctors? Like, there's doctors, but, like, you can't get in. Like, what would you say that lineup was to go into the walk-in? Like, 30 people?
Yeah, like I showed up at 9 o'clock when they opened, and I was 24th person in line. So it's just,
How can that be the norm?
A guy complains a lot, but the medical system is just at capacity and over capacity, right? Like there's just no more there's no more room for anything, right? Like
No.
the system's just not set up to expand, right? So it's tough.
That's tough. But is there anything you would like to share about your journey or neurodiversity in the workplace?
My whole life has been centered around wood, and like I just need to be around wood. So like building, that's why like I've built stuff since I was a kid, and like went through forestry school, and like just understanding how trees work, and like how it's a whole thing for me. And so yeah, like I spent a lot of time asking, because I'm not like I'm 6 foot, have a big beard, but I'm not one of those tough guys, right? Like it takes a lot of your energy all just to be there all day and just take and you know, it comes with just the loud noises and stuff too. Like that stuff drives you crazy. Everybody gets hearing damage in the industry. Like it's, and you can say what you want, but like even stuff like that starts to wear a guy down after a few years too, right?
Oh yeah. And constantly faking it. Like I have a lot of, like, to try and act like everyone else in the group to fit in, and I didn't know that was something that a lot of people did. I was like, why am I weird?
Right?
But I figured it out. Like,
Or feeling like somebody's going to find out that I don't know how to do this thing, or that I'm not good at this thing, or that I haven't been doing this thing. I think that underlying anxiety that we just have because we're not fitting in naturally, it is exhausting, and we don't get enough time at the end of the day to recover. And I'm thinking, especially in construction, you have those really long days. You're going home to like eat, sleep, and do it all again.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, my situation got complicated with, like, I have nerve damage in my neck or something.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out. But like, you start adding pain on that, and it lowers your tolerance for
Everything.
everything. So like, whereas before I had a pretty good deal going, and like I was supervisor in West Fraser and stuff, and so I had a good thing going, and then I hurt my neck, and you know, you start to dissociate from reality and stuff, and like you don't, and then it gets into mental health stuff, and they tried to treat it with severe neck pain with psychiatric meds, and it doesn't work. So it's been a whole thing figuring out what's going on, right? So
It's like, how do you move past it? You guys, like, take it one day at a time. Sounds easier said than done, that's for sure.
yeah, like I've been told a lot, like, oh, just go find a job, and it's like, I don't think you guys understand my dedication to wood and wood products.
Right.
And like, but it's just I can't perform, right? Because the nerve damage in my neck affects the use of my arm, right? So I can't do the things I used to do, and it's just that in part is crushing too, right? Like
Having your body not work the way it used to, that's a whole thing in itself.
Well, and especially when you're young and that's not what your peers are experiencing and not what you expected to experience. If you were 70 years old and you had a sore neck, okay, well,
yeah,
you had a good run.
yeah,
But being like 30, 32,
yeah,
and it's really brutal.
Well, and I think what you said too, Sam, sorry, was just really cool that like your resiliency was already at the max. So you were maxed out, masking some of the other challenges, the sensory things, the social things that come with being neurodivergent. So you're already applying more energy, effort than maybe the person beside you. And now you receive an injury, and you're naturally not as resourced. You're not going to bounce back as quickly.
yeah.
As somebody who had their head above water when it happened.
Yeah, and then and pain's a whole other deal. It does all sorts of stuff to you. Like I didn't realize for longest time. I thought because I got memory loss with it, and like that's pretty wild. There's the big focus on mental health, and it's like, what mental health gives you memory loss and stuff like that, and then it's just like, it's because I'm in an extreme amount of pain is the problem, right?
You can't focus when you're in pain.
No.
Like, you can't even human.
No.
Let alone us who can't focus when we're not in pain.
Yeah.
On our very good days, when we've taken the best care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Legit.
So it's, I'm trying to run a race, but I'm playing by totally different rules, and like, it's not fun.
Yeah. No, it's really hard in this community. Like, I feel like it's getting better though. Like, I've noticed, I've talked with some companies, and they're incorporating like mental health stuff in their benefits, and I think that's how it should be, like more inclusive within treating your workers like they're humans and not like money makers. So that's what I want to take away from this. But for you, Sam, what would you like to take, or what would you like our listeners to take away from your experiences?
I don't know, just you gotta kind of stay with it. Like, it's gonna suck. Like, there's no easy there's no easy path through it, and like it is, especially if you're in a rural area, you're gonna struggle with what's available there.
Yeah.
I've heard in the city it's slightly better, just with the amount of resources available. But no, you just gotta kind of stick in there and, I mean, hope for the best, and like.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, fair. Our systems are not working. Employers are focused on their bottom line at the end of the day. And the changes that I'm slowly seeing in the community is the community. It's that we recognize that ADHD is an impactful disorder. It's not cutesy. It's not demure. And it is actually like super significantly impactful in the day-to-day lives of people who have it. And yeah, we can get through it and we can do hard things, but it's exhausting. And I think that's what I hear in your struggle of like, yeah, I can line up at the clinic and I can do the things, but those things are really hard. But what keeps, I think, people resilient is that, you know, you can find a place and, you know, we can talk about it and be like, yeah, I have ADHD too. What's that like for you? And that helps us keep resilient of like, okay, I'm not the only one. The system sucks for all of us. We're all having trouble speaking to the mental health or the doctors.
And that's the thing too. Like, it's, you got to understand you're not in it alone. Like, that's where it gets, because I don't know. I don't think there's a person out there that's not struggling these days. Like, it's just things are not going well. So it's like everybody's going through it, and it's just, you know, it's more of that. You got to have that compassion, and like that's typically what neurodivergent people have, is more compassion, and they like to generally help more. So it's
because we need more help.
Yeah.
We know what that feels like, I think.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I do think these next generations are seeing it all differently. They're getting diagnosed so much younger, and it's part of them. It's not like when we found out because we were grown-ups and struggling, and then we had to grieve our whole life to be like, oh, well, that was probably hard because of this, and that was probably hard because of this. They know before they do it that it's going to be hard because of this. And so I think their self-esteem is just more intact. They're more whole as people, knowing earlier that these are going to be the struggles and we're going to get through them the best we can. But
100%. And I feel like kids nowadays, I heard they're learning mindfulness skills early and all sorts of stuff. Like, it's...
Yeah, my kiddo got a letter in her lunch kit the other day that said for 8 weeks they have a mental health person coming into the grade 5 classroom to do a little program about feelings. And so, yeah, like that's huge. That's amazing. Who knows what that's going to open up for the kiddos to even just have those conversations is really cool.
Yeah, the next generation's definitely got it down, that's for sure.
That's right. You're welcome. We struggled, so you wouldn't have to as much.
Yeah, legit. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening to our episode today, and we hope that you can take something from this that will help you in your life. And if you're struggling or in crisis, please call 911. And if you need someone to speak to 24/7, you can call 988. And yeah, it was awesome talking with you guys. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.